Ready, set, action. Welcome back to Top Dives, where we talk about the misconceptions and perspectives in the entertainment industry. Now, as you guys know, Stream is not here today, so Sakura is taking the place of Stream for this week. Hopefully he'll be back next week. Also, my name is FictionBoi.
I'm Whiplash Wolf.
I'm Luis Howlez. And I'm Luis Howlez, better known as Actor House.
Anyways, how you doing, Actor House? This is the first time I think you've been on the show today.
Quite literally, it's definitely a different experience than me editing a lot of the videos that I've done for you guys for social media.
Which we appreciate that you have been doing for us. That's a big thanks.
Absolutely.
Well, so I guess, we're going to get to the main topic, which is, ever since hearing about actors speaking about that man from YouTube, you felt like it was crucial to acknowledge that anyone within the entertainment industry, actors, voice actors, producers, editors, animators, etc., are individuals trying to do what they love and shouldn't tolerate or expect this kind of treatment from anyone.
Absolutely.
And you wanted to speak more about individuals who developed their craft for years and deserve more respect and dignity. So you wanted to talk about it. I know you do.
Yep.
To see what others see from an inside and outside perspective. Now, you are attending school.
Yep, I'm attending Vancouver Food School.
Okay, so I guess my first question I wanted to ask you is, how long have you been studying film?
A very good question. I wouldn't say I'm studying for film. I'm studying for acting. I've been in the acting gig since, I want to say, back in 2019, where I officially was like, wow, this is what I should be doing. Because originally, I wanted to become a commercial airline pilot. Long story short, it didn't really take off that well, but ultimately, to put it short, I've been studying acting since 2019. I got my BFA in theater performance, and now I'm getting a degree in acting for film and television.
That's pretty awesome, and I hope you go a long way in your career.
Definitely.
You said you live in Winnipeg?
Vancouver, actually.
Vancouver, okay. So I didn't even know they had the film, a filming industry in Vancouver. That's pretty impressive. I didn't know that.
Yep. Yeah, surprisingly enough, Vancouver has a very strong film industry. Even during most of my time that I spent in school, I would always see one or two productions on the street where it's not too far from my school, where they would actually be filming scenes for shows on Netflix, on Hub, whatever you can think of. And a lot of the professors that are teaching the classes that I'm a part of are actually working class actors. I can even name two of them that I could say have been in TV shows on Cartoon Network or have been in major theater productions. It's just a wonderful program, but it's also an incredibly difficult program to get into.
Well, I hope it works out for you. Another thing I wanted to point out, which was, Sakura, you mentioned to me that you've done voice acting.
Actually, I am an actress, a full on stage, behind the camera actress, or in front of the camera.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what kind of... Well, tell me from your perspective what do a lot of actors and actresses have to deal with a lot? What are some of your biggest struggles?
Well, I don't know. I'm really small time myself, so like I don't have to worry about a lot of the things that like a lot of actors and actresses have to deal with. But I mean, I guess probably one of the like the biggest things that, you know, a lot of them have to deal with is like dealing with fans, dealing with super fans, dealing with people who are ultimately pretty crazy for, you know, all these big time actors and actresses. And, you know, I guess one of the other things that like, you know, I kind of deal with at the same time is like just crazy schedules. Like, you know, having to be up at 6 a.m, out the door by 7, being on set by 7:30, and, you know, ready to act by like 8:30 after makeup and everything. And it gets pretty hectic. And then there's the whole production. Like, you know, one day of filming can be 8 hours, and you're not even going to get through your entire through the entire film in that time. So you have to deal with being on set, with the set being hot, trying to stay cool, trying to stay quiet, being where you're supposed to be, remembering your lines, and it's just it's a lot.
Now, I know for a fact that there is an actor that has dealt with a lot, not just with, you know, the work, but there is an actor that we all know that just recently won a Grammy Award, Brendan Fraser. He went through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably a good example of what an actor has gone through, like many things that, you know, no human being should have to ever go through.
Exactly.
Definitely.
But he is a wonderful actor nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. Has anybody ever seen The Whale yet?
I've been wanting to. It's been
I
on the
have
bucket
not.
list.
Yeah, school has been taking a lot of my time.
I do need to see that movie too.
I do hate like the criticism against him though. Like it's ridiculous. Like it makes no sense.
What sort of criticism did he go through?
No, like the one I kept seeing the most is like they could have hired an actual fat person to play the role. Like, you do know what these actors go through for their roles, right? Like people like, which actor was it? There was a role that I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Brendan Fraser, but there was an actor where they have to get, you know, physically either fit for the role or be like fat or be someone heavy or be someone fit, someone skinny. It's like when you're an actor, it seems like you have to put your body through lots of morphing stages just to play a part sometimes. Just from few, like, I can't remember who it was. Yeah, it could be it could be I feel like mentally draining. I feel like there's a lot of work to do, especially when it comes to your body.
It's not only mentally draining, but it can also be physically draining by itself, especially depending on what do the director and the producers want out of this character. Do they want this person to look a particular way, or do they want him or her or they to perform certain things that maybe the actor is just not ready to do at that moment?
Mm-hmm.
That's very true.
Yeah. Well, Howlz, what is your perspective on actors?
I think actors are, in my perspective, and thankfully I haven't really experienced all that. I have experienced it with certain family members in which there's this expectation that if you are an actor, then you either have a side gig or you have another job or a different job just to be able to keep a roof over their head. And I just remember my family being 100% supportive on my desire to get into the acting industry, but always have a backup plan. And I get it. I absolutely get it 100%. But this is a career that I definitely want to put my heart and soul into it. This isn't something that I do for fun. And yes, I want to be able to have a roof over my head, but I at least want to be able to do it for fun. But I think that just the perception of actors as being like people who are not going to go anywhere, or that if you're not a part of a big TV show or big like podcast thing, then you're not really a real actor. But real actors do things every day that maybe many people don't realize it, and the same goes for voice acting. And let me ask you this, Fiction, or any of you. When you hear voice acting, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Like, what is the first immediate thing that comes to mind?
Cartoon shows.
I say the same thing for me.
I was more of in a deeper thought. I was more thinking about like, okay, how do I be this character that I'm representing here?
Oh, so, okay, how do you beat this character? Okay, I just misinterpreted the question. That's my mistake.
Like, I see like VAs as like, it usually is for like animations and such.
Yeah.
Or games. Like, that's where VAs mainly come into.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put a pin on that and I'll answer your question. When it comes to getting to the character, there's many different ways that you can do it. The method that I'm currently doing it right now is the Udahaken method, in which you're basically going in depth with more of the character. Like, what is their background? What kind of people are this character going to interact with? What is their social status? What's the economy? What is the setting of the world around them? And the other people can take very much different methods. I think the biggest dangerous method that any actor could do if they actually wanted to get into a character is method acting, because that just basically is a type of acting where you end up going basically all the way, like you're living the character and you are the character on a day-to-day basis. And unless you have a grounding where you're able to de-stress and de-characterize yourself, or be able to leave that character in a certain place, if you don't have a hold of that, it could be potentially dangerous both mentally and physically. And some actors end up having to go off the deep end because they just got too much in depth to a character and they're unable to break out of it. I think the biggest example would be the actor who played the Joker. I can't remember
Joaquin
his name off the top of my head. Yeah, that's him. He played phenomenally as
really
the Joker. Very much into it. But he went to a place where he was unable to get out of the character that he created for that film, and ultimately it was just a contributing factor that did not really end well, and he died very young.
No. Yeah, you're talking about the other one from 2008 who played.
You're talking about Heath Ledger.
Yeah, Heath Ledger. Joaquin Phoenix did the Joker movie.
Yeah, I do not remember names well.
No, you're good. No,
Heath Ledger was in the Dark Knight movie, and the other one was in the Joker movie.
Yeah,
which they both honestly got into the roles very well.
Heath Ledger, I don't know his story, but I do believe he's a Hakeem. What was it, Phoenix?
So Heath Ledger, I remember reading up on this. He locked himself. I think he locked himself up in like a confined room for like a month or something. I can't remember. He actually like got into the role of being completely crazy for the Joker role, and he did a great job. Like, to me, that's still one of my favorite, which probably a lot of people too. That's everyone's favorite movie, just because he did such a wonderful job. It's unfortunate he overdosed. I wish he did.
Yeah,
I wish I never went to that point.
I could easily argue that there's a bunch of different better ways to get into the character. Like, if you have to go to the extreme, it gives me just two different perspectives. Either it's you're investing too much in the character to the point that it becomes unhealthy, or you're not as experienced or as talented as an actor as you think you are, and thus you have to go to that extremes in order to get what the director wants from this character. And those are two places where I personally would not even be willing, especially early on in my career.
I think he was going to the extremes, honestly.
Yeah.
Another character that could come into mind is, this is actually not a professional actor, but he was a YouTuber that went into the music industry. which was, you ever heard of Filthy Frank? That was a character.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then he went into the music. He went into music, which he's now known as Joji. And he even talked about his experience of playing these characters, how mentally exhausting it was, and how damaging it was to his health.
It was. He actually, the last video I think he talked about, or someone like an interview he did, he actually went to a doctor because he was having, like, it wasn't a stroke, it was a seizure. He was having, like,
yes, he mentioned
induced seizures because of these. And he had to stop it because it was actually hurting him at that point. That's why he just ended it. Like, everyone loves him, and that's why he's a great artist now. Like, everyone has just followed him over to his artistic side, and he does great at what he does regardless. But nothing can really, when it comes to your health, that's more important than like whatever you're doing to entertain people. Like, I know people go to the extremes like Heath did, and probably Joaquin Phoenix, because honestly, playing the Joker, people have very high expectations for that role. And it's just damaging in some points.
Well, Sakura, is there any actors or actresses that you knew that went through some mental instability after playing a character?
Oh, goodness. I know there has been, I just am having a hard time recalling right now.
We can get back to that question once it comes to you. So I'll just say this.
Yeah.
Do you, I guess my question is, what skills does an actor provide you that you haven't gotten anywhere else? I'm talking to you, House, by the way.
That's honestly a very good question. I never thought of that, but if I had to really think about it, I think what acting has taught me that I didn't notice immediately until some teachers kind of like said like literally in front of my face is that once you start to understand how to act and how the scene is set up and how things work acting wise, you tend to be really, really good at understanding when you are being manipulated one way or another. Like, if you're having an interaction with anybody, and that's how every scene's work is that you're always trying to get something. And once you understand the tactics of how to get that one thing, you tend to notice it everywhere else. And I also feel it taught me a lot more of how to better communicate with people, how to better interact, and I think it's just teaching me a little bit more about self-confidence and self-awareness, as well as the awareness of everybody around me. Because everyone tends to have a story, and it always shows whether in the way that they talk, in the way that they move, or the way they just express themselves. There's always a story, and there's always a motivation behind it, even when that motivation is to just, I want to get up out of bed in the morning, or I want to go to the other side of the room and get a glass of water.
Fair enough. What about, let's just say, what if an actor really wants to, or an actress wants to play a certain character? Who decides that this character may or may not be for them? Like, is that a thing where some actors really want to play this character, but they get denied that because they don't really think they would do good in the role?
I remember asking a similar question to my professor, and so far usually the answers tend to vary, because the answer that I would get from them is that it's usually up to the casting director, or it's up to the producer, or it's up to the director. And usually most of the time they're looking for someone very specific, whether it's a specific voice, a specific look, a specific type, and what, mind you. And ultimately it mainly depends on who's making the casting. who's making the casting for this particular movie, because because two different people may cast for the same role. One might get it, one may not, or they cast in something else that's completely different, and it'll be the other way around. And it's honestly it's still something that I'm trying to wrap my head around, because depending on what's being cast and what the person is auditioning for, there could be several different factors coming into play. Like, it's just an answer that I can give you, the best answer that I can give, but I can't really give you like a target bullseye answer on that one.
Okay.
Even I'm struggling, like, how do they decide who gets cast or not?
It could go based on many things. The look,
it can go
how they sound,
and also the reputation of the person. Like, if the director or the producer or editors have worked with this person that they're auditioning, regardless of whether that person may have to put in the extra effort to play a certain character or not, if they had no complaints, they know what they're doing, they're good at their job, and you're able to get along with this person, you are more likely going to get cast than a complete new person who's trying to break into the industry that has no other references or connections, who is just as equally as qualified as the person who everybody in the room already knows.
Okay, so I do want to ask this question, and this can be answered by Sakura as well. So, if you were to play a character, it's more than just acting. You have to be the character, and sometimes that is a scary reality. Sometimes, like, you're being someone you're not, and sometimes you actually believe you are that person. I've heard that is a thing sometimes.
Yeah, that can definitely be the case. I mean, let's go back to, I mean, part of me almost wants to use like Heath Ledger as, another example of that, of like, he put himself through, I mean, let's just admit it, literal hell to, become the Joker, make himself insane, to live that life. And like, that can be, it's extreme, and it's extremely detrimental. And, sure, there are some times when, like, you're up on stage, you're in front of the camera, and, you can lose sight of yourself. But at the same time, you got to keep in the back of your mind that you have to remember that, like, you're not that character.
Yeah. But there is some attributes that you could possibly play. Like, for example, I could play a character that struggles with, toxic masculinity and the emotions that come with it, and the judgments you get and the insecurities you get with it. I could easily play a character like that because I have experienced that. But to relive it again, it would be a hell for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more like when you're playing a character that has internal conflict, and you relate to those internal conflicts, like if, the internal conflicts of, being a transgender woman, and you're playing a scene that is very conflicting about it, it brings out a side of you that is very angry or upset, and those types of mental things that come with it. That I think that's what's scary.
Yeah, in a lot of cases like that, I mean, especially at the time, like, it could make you a better actor because, you've experienced those things. You know what, your character has gone through or is going to be going through. That can definitely help. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, it can be absolute hell on the emotions. And, if, you're going to be acting that part, you kind of gotta swallow it and, get past that to be able to, like, be that actor. And then, once, like, filming's done for the day and everything, kind of like take a moment to, like, unpack everything that happened and, like, like, don't let it destroy you, but at the same time, process what happened.
Okay. So let me ask you this, and I'll ask Howlez as well. Both of you can answer this. So we'll start off with Sakura. Okay, so what was the moment that you realized you wanted to be an actress?
Well, honestly, it kind of stemmed from a couple of different things. Number one, all the way through high school, and actually this was, kind of an answer to a previous question too, is all throughout high school, I loved drama. I loved being a part of drama. I loved, being among the actors and everything, but I was backstage crew. Like, I had the worst gut. I had stage fright, pure and simple. And through the years since then, coming out, being who I am, being in front of people, presenting myself, it's given me a confidence that I've never had in my life before. And so it has encouraged me to try different things that I never thought I would have tried before. And insert number two here, where an opportunity arose for me. I moved out of state. I moved down to the south, and I'm a huge Star Trek nerd. I am a huge Trekkie. I will never deny that fact. And nearby, there is actually a studio called the Neutral Zone Studios, where they film Star Trek fan films. And I went to one of their fan weekends. They actually have that at least once or twice a month, where you can go out, check out the studio, check out the sets, get pictures, talk to the actors, talk to the owner. And I talked to the owner about, hey, what does it take to become an actor here? And he's just kind of like, hey, get on our emailing list. We'll let you know when a part comes up, and, we'll be in contact. And I'm just kind of like, what? This might be my opportunity to finally, be in front of the camera rather than behind it. So I took the opportunity. I took the chance. And now I'm a Trekkie getting to live the Star Trek life, and it has been absolutely incredible ever since.
Aw, that's adorable.
It is adorable.
Okay, what about you? Howz, what did you realize you wanted to be an actor?
I feel like I wanted to become an actor ever since I was relatively young, though it never really clicked in at the time. I always would grow up watching Disney Channel, like The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Hannah Montana, Wizards of Waverly Place, and I'd be like, wow, I want to do that. And so my parents ended up putting me in some basic acting classes, even well before that point. And up until 2014, where my life kind of derailed, I thought, okay, maybe I should pursue my passion for aviation, maybe be a commercial pilot. And as I mentioned before, it didn't really soar well. And then community college happened, in which I was able to audition because I didn't have anything better to do. I auditioned for Sister Act, and I became part of that musical, and I was the what was I? I was part of the bar scene. I was a taxi driver, and I was basically part of the ensemble. And I just remembered loving every single moment of it. I loved getting there. I love interacting with the cast and the crew. I love reading and getting invested in every scene, regardless of how small it was. And so I auditioned for the musical theater program, in which I was rejected, and got into the theater ensemble at the college where I got my BFA. And then I tried auditioning for theater performance, in which I was able to get in. And up until that point, I've gotten a lot more in love of wearing things that get me into character, understanding how the character thinks, regardless of whether his moral standings was wrong or right, and just being on stage and actually not being myself, and being able to take elements of characters that I like and encompassing it in my own daily life. And bada bing, bada boom, now I am here in Vancouver, and I'm still pursuing something that I passionately love.
Okay. That's pretty cool, though, and I'm hoping, it does go forward. Now Now here's some good questions that I wanting to ask. So, in terms of entertainment, what do you think makes a great story?
Ooh.
Now there could be many perceptions of what that is. Now I'll say what I think. I feel like if you do not have an antagonist that does not cause constant conflict with your protagonist, it's not going to be entertaining. And the reason why I say that is because you need conflicts to make the story interesting. Whether it's the hero going against the villain, and the villain doesn't necessarily have to be a person, it could be nature, it could be the society, or internal struggles, internal conflicts. Conflict is, and generally you need conflict in order for the story to be entertaining, and it also has to make sense.
That I can at least agree.
Like if you were to use a character who, and necessarily not even the villain has to be the bad guy either. Because the lines between what's good and evil is a blur when certain stories are foretold in a realistic standard. And if I was to pick a story, you definitely need to have a villain that actually knows the character's weaknesses, and he uses his biggest strength to make it his biggest weakness, and the villain takes advantage of that. Because, as the audience is viewing, they do want the good guy to win, right? So consider this. Why is my thing acting up? Okay.
VRchat.
So yeah, it's totally VRchat. So what I'm saying is that think of it like this: the villain uses their biggest strength against them. We can use, for example, in The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger again, who is the Joker. He uses Batman, his weakness, because of the girl that he loves, and he picks up on that. But it's what keeps him what he's doing. But they also have to have a similar goal. They also have to have the same goal, which is they're both fighting for the soul of Gotham. That's their goal.
Well, one's to protect it, and the other one's to take over it, right?
Not take over it. The Joker never cared about power. He just wanted to show that the world was not so different from him.
I mean, that's true. Even in today's world, actually, might be more realistic in today's world.
So if you were to use this that, the reason why I say that is because when he says that no, everybody can be like the Joker, because they're not so different from what he is, it pushed enough, like he said in that one scene, which all you need is just a little push. If he told people that he was going to, destroy the hospital, and these people has families in there, and all they need to do was to kill one person to make sure that no one dies, that's his point, that they're not so different from him.
I mean, it makes complete sense. Well, that's what makes the Joker in that movie so good.
Because he doesn't necessarily have power, nor does he have money. I think what makes lazy writing of an antagonist is when people just give them too much power. They have an army, they have money to go against the character, but all the Joker had was, a couple of bullets and some gasoline.
Well, I feel like the reason why he's been a fan favorite, honestly. Maybe it's also because of his backstory. Because I'm trying to think, is there any other Batman villains that are also like him? No, not like in his way, but they have nothing.
Hard.
I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is close to him. I'll give him that. To be fair, there has never been a movie that's absolutely wonderful to watch that has made me cringe at the same time like some of those scenes in the Joker. Like I actually had to like walk out of the theater so I didn't cringe to death. It was it was bad because he was just playing the Joker way too well.
I have yet to walk out of a theater at a movie.
You mean Phoenix?
No, I went back in. Yeah, I mean I went back into it. Is that like okay? So the one part in the Joker where he's going to the comedy stand-up comedy, that one I had to like walk out of because I can't sit there when someone is being so bad at what they're doing and watching everyone like, even though it was a movie, just like the jokes are so bad that even the people in the movie are just like giving him a silent death stare. It hurts to see. It's like I don't like people like just like being awful, like especially when it comes to stand-up comedy, because there can be a lot of people who are just bad at telling a joke. I'm not saying I'm good. I'm absolutely not. But that's the reason why I would never do it myself. But watching him do it, like it hurt. It hurt to watch. Like I saw one part, I was like, nope. I went outside and just waited until that scene went away and went back in. You can
relate to it. Well, the thing is that you and I can relate to it because we're doing a show too, and it's our job to entertain the audience as well. And when we feel like we messed up, it's very cringy to us, especially when you look back at our old content and we realize that we were not as prepared to talk about things as we are now.
Hell no. But to be fair, I also don't think about it. I don't think about it too when we're doing this because we're enjoying it. Like there's sometimes we'll screw up, but I mean, hey, we just roll with it.
All right. Before we can continue on with this question, I need to get to this, which is the questions of the week. So the question of the week is, what would you consider to be the most underrated film, live action or /animated, and what would you consider the most overrated? Now, we do have a lot of answers from a lot of people, and that would be, we'll start off with the ones with Twitter, okay? So there was one by Gabriel the Omega. He said, underrated film would be My Life as a Corget. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And for most overrated, I say is Avatar, the one with the blue people.
Oh.
The one with the blue people.
Wow, James Cameron's Avatar.
Jesus.
So, have you guys even seen the second one yet?
I have not.
I have.
Okay, I have as well. First one was a great movie. It was a wonderful movie. Second movie, to me, it seems like they couldn't find a place to go with it, so they kind of like took assets and like storylines from the very first one and just plopped it into the new one. It's the same villain, but as an avatar. Like it's the same exact person. They took his mind and then put him into an avatar. So it's just like
but Whiplash, before you start continuing on with that conversation, there's still a lot of people who haven't seen it yet.
Well, I mean, hey, I'm pretty sure they could have got that from the, cut, like not from like whatever they call it, like show.
I'm just saying, there's some people that don't want spoilers.
This is basically like Finding Dory 2.0.
It could be. I'm not sure. I haven't actually watched Finding Dory.
All right, so on to the next one, and this is from Justin at the Fire Wolf Dog. He said, the most underrated film I can definitely talk about is Alpha and Omega. Alpha and Omega, the original movie was good. It was when they started adding more movies into it, and it's when it got bad. Well, yeah, low production films usually don't get that much attention.
I think the first and second one were...
I wasn't finished. He said the most overrated movie is definitely Kung Fu Panda. They're also coming out with a new one in 2024. And I'm very excited to see it. I love everything about it too. I think you got underrated and overrated mixed.
Yeah.
Alpha and Omega. I think the first two were theatrical, but they kept just like rolling them out through just straight to DVD and VHS, or not VHS, but straight to DVD. I even never seen Alpha and Omega, but I've seen how many movies they make. It's like 5 or 6. There's way too damn many.
Yeah.
And the last question
is what, 4th? Nope, go ahead.
No, yeah, there's a 4th one coming. I haven't even seen the other 3, or the other 2.
I've never even heard of the film until now.
Really?
The main actor is played by Jack Black.
I'm about to say, because the first one came out in 2008 when I was in high school still. Or was it high school?
Jack
No, middle
Black
school.
is a fantastic actor, though. He's a fantastic actor.
Which is also
And
playing the new
singer.
Bowser as well.
Which is the
Hell
perfect
yeah,
role for
I
him.
can at least respect that.
And the last question was, or the last answer was Q the Talking Doggy. And he said, the underrated film I love is The Lost Boys. It is an 80s vampire thriller, and the soundtrack is very beautiful to listen to. And the most overrated film, in my opinion, is definitely Shrek. That's just my opinion, but it's honestly played a lot.
I agree with this. I agree with this completely.
Doge.
Fair enough.
You're talking Doge.
Doge.
But to be fair though, it did get to a point that, but, God, who sings, what's, rock? Hey, now you're a rock star. Okay, who sings that? I can't remember now.
All-Star.
No, All-Star.
All-Star.
No, the person who sings All-Star. I can't remember now. It got to so here's the thing: is the singer of that band is, to be fair, and you're gonna censor it out, be my one strike. He's like, but it got to a point that people only recognized them because of that song in Shrek. Because Shrek was like the first animated movie besides, I don't know, like Toys, like 3D animated movie besides like Toy Story to win so many awards. It's like even in the movie Hall of Fame, I can't remember what it's called. Because of like what it is. I can't remember what it is. I remember looking up on it, but it's like it has a lot of awards for that and the fact that blah 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 all that stuff. But they hate it because of that. So he might be right. It might be overplayed. Yeah, Smash Mouth. Yeah.
Now, before we can continue on with this, I do have to say this. Also, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell. If you hit the notification bell, you will be notified for our latest videos. So keep up with that. And thanks for that support. Also, be sure to follow us on our audio platforms and leave us a rating, and that will help us out a lot. Join our Discord and our Telegram group chat link, and all that will be in the link tree. So if you don't, Whiplash is probably going to give you some bad acting. It's probably going to be cringe.
Here's the thing is though, we're already cringe, so it's not like it's anything different. No, you don't do any of that. I'll make sure that every single bucket of popcorn you ever get for the rest of your life has no butter or salt on it.
Oh,
that's rough.
Oh my god.
That's
that
rough.
is pretty rough.
I have to go on a rant. Oh my god. That just unlocked a memory that I absolutely hate.
Hold on. Calling out the Top Dogs fans. Want some cool stuff? You can by subscribing to our server subscription on the Discord. Become a podcast supporter today. Get exclusive raw footage and uncut footage of your favorite podcast episodes. Join supporter meetups and talk with other podcast supporters and the team. Plus, get a custom-made paw emoji and other goodies that come with the $2.99 subscription. But wait, there's more. Upgrade to Podcast Supporter Plus and get an episode voting, supporting feedback, and live audience participation for only $5.99. You also get a sneak peek of upcoming ideas, merchandise, and more. You don't have to join these subscriptions, but then again, it always helps out. We do appreciate the support. Thank you, guys.
But anything and everything is helpful, no matter what. Even just a follow.
Every follow helps. So,
Yes.
Tell your friends, get the word out.
yes, tell them how cringe we are.
Oh my god.
I mean, furries are cringe, but hey, it's whatever. I'm here for it. It's better than being normal.
I mean, I know I'm cringe, but I definitely do not like all the single furries. But anyways.
Oh god. Okay, that's too far. That's on the very
you
bottom.
Don't like me?
Sakura, do you not even know what we're talking about? Please.
I do. I'm.
I know. She knows.
I just ruined the joke.
No, shit. I get what you were doing.
I mean,
I just felt like you were messing with me.
Mm-hmm.
You were trying to mess with me.
Messing with you. Of course I am.
Oh my god. We don't talk about all the single furries. We leave that alone.
Oh my god.
But anyways, Howlz, I don't mean to distract you from all the single furries music video. Which, by the way, I don't care if you're a furry or not. Don't watch that. It was bad.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry to anybody who was participating in it. Maybe you guys were intending it to be cringe. I don't know.
I don't
Too
know.
bad there's no
It's
like
just not my cup of tea.
See, I would love to see the like and dislike ratio on that video, but we'll never know anymore. We will never know.
Like, dislike.
I mean, technically, you can still see it if you are the account owner, but we can't see that stuff. So, but anyway,
I don't even admit it anymore.
Yeah.
So, Actor House, you said something came up into your mind about what Whiplash mentioned about the whole no butter and salt in the popcorn.
Oh, absolutely. I have so much to say just because of that. Because back when I was in community college, I worked in the movie theaters, and I worked in many different positions. I worked in the box office. I worked as a cashier. Here, I worked as a ticket taker. I worked in concessions. Management sucked. One of the biggest things about the cleaning the dang movie theater, and this happened once, and I still don't understand it. When I was helping cleaning out the theater with a lot of my other coworkers, I ended up coming across at the end of one of the aisles, and it was a really big theater, and I came up going at the end of one of the aisles, and I legitimately saw in the seat and beside the seat a full tub of untouched popcorn, like a legitimate tub, and a large ass drink that has not been sipped, and it was still full. And I'm like, you end up coming to a movie theater, paid this much money to watch a movie, paid that much money to buy popcorn and a drink, and you didn't even touch it.
From the business perspective, I would not care. They just wasted their money over something they didn't want to eat or drink. So, I mean, the movie theater isn't losing anything out of
home with them.
But it was like, the extra thing that I had to clean and take out. Like, what the hell?
The raptor came down and took them away.
Trust me, the theater was a lot worse when the reboot of The Lion King came out. It was bad.
Oh god, I bet it was. See, you and Andreas could talk about that a lot since he's the actual supervisor of a movie theater. So you and him could probably talk about everything that exists.
That's not even the weirdest story. I've heard two weirdest stories from my coworkers working at that movie theater. The first one was when he was cleaning out a movie theater. He actually found like a full box of pizza that has all been finished, and he was like, how the hell did a person sneak out a large pizza into a theater? Like, someone would have noticed, and yet nobody noticed because the person legitimately brought that into the theater.
Maybe they had a big ass purse.
Oh my god.
The
just
back
comes up
door.
to like, would you like to see a magic
That's how we
trick?
used to sneak into the theater as kids. You know, we have one person who buys the ticket.
Back door.
They go to the back door. They open the back door. All the friends come in, or in this case, a pizza, and then takes it into the theater. I mean, they don't have alarms on those doors, so I mean, it's not a problem.
Yeah, well, the theater that I have, I was told, actually has an alarm system, so if a back door ends up opening, it would immediately alert the managers in the office if a back door was open. But that never happened.
Surprise!
Jesus,
magic trick.
I'm still trying to process that. And there was another story that someone told me. He was a good friend of mine. He ended up telling me that when he was helping cleaning out a theater, he ended up finding... Oh my god, he ended up finding it he ended up finding an item that you use in the bedroom and then tossed away. And it was used. If that even makes sense. No, not a vibrator, a condom. He ended up finding a used condom.
I can say Andreas.
Condom in the theater.
Andreas, before, he has a lot of stories from his theater. I think there's one notorious one I'm not going to talk about, but the second one was he found two guys in the bathroom trying to... So that's his story.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
But no, Andreas has a ton of stories about his work. Trust me.
All right.
But I will say this. I feel like the worst time to ever work in a movie theater... I feel like the one time to work in a theater, the worst time in existence, was when 50 Shades of Grey came out. I would never want to clean up that theater.
God. For me, it would have to be Frozen 2.
Wait. I think I remember their story. I think like a movie theater in Tinda got jumped before in a theater because he tried telling a woman to stop moaning so loudly. If I remember correctly from reading an article...
God.
Yeah, no, like, people who went to see 50 Shades of Grey, like, they, quite a few people, got off.
The way for I can say is that you will get better service watching real porn than you would watch 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah,
I don't even know what
50
the
Shades of Grey is a
field of that
softcore porn movie. That's what that movie is. I've never seen it, but
in that movie, and I've never even seen it.
I don't know.
Okay, so don't worry about that. But I want to ask this question because I really want to answer this one. What do you want to see done in entertainment, animation, film, theater wise? Now, I do want to see this. This is just me personally, a goal for me. You see, you know how there is a lot of anthropomorphic, most anthropomorphic movies and TV shows are very child friendly, with the exception of Beastars.
Yep, very much so.
I want more of those.
True,
I want
think
more
the
adult
most
anthropomorphic movies and TV shows.
Does Sausage Party count?
I can't really disagree with that
terrible
statement.
movie. No.
What?
Hey, Sausage Party was technically an anthropomorphic food movie.
Oh my
An
god.
anthropomorphic is not
movie.
those are food, not animals.
No, but
It's
they're food that had arms and
It
legs.
is anthropomorphized objects, though. So, I mean, he does have a point on that one.
But you're talking about animals, though.
Does it make the movie good, though? Does it make it good?
That was a horrible movie. It was terrible.
Good thing I've never seen it.
I haven't
don't
seen
waste
it,
your
honestly.
time.
As I was
Seriously.
saying, now I am trying. My goal is to write my book series, and I do want to make my own anthropomorphic adult book. When I mean by adult, it's just it's for a mature audience to read.
Yeah.
So, but if I was to make it a TV, I would rather make it a TV show than I would make a movie, because I feel like movies would smooth out other details. In the movie they don't give the whole story. Kind of like why I like Game of Thrones, because nothing was left out in that.
Yeah, I have to agree to that. I feel like movies are very limiting, because the longest movie that I remember watching was 2 hours and 30 minutes long, and I feel like there's so much that they could have done with that movie than have it be a 2-hour movie. And the weird thing about it is that I think creating it in a book might actually be a better alternative, because earlier I remember watching a YouTube video in which the YouTuber ended up having to compare my childhood go-to horror series, which is the Goosebumps series, and they actually compared one episode, which is Say Cheese and Die, compared to the actual book, and the book was actually a lot more darker, while the actual episode of that same book was a lot more bland and very much child-friendly. And honestly, I would have just read the book. The book actually felt more terrifying, and a lot of the plot in the book made a lot more sense compared to the actual episode. And they actually took out a character in that episode that was originally in the book.
So with my story, it's gonna be it isn't, like I said, anthropomorphic, but in the adult theme way. Think of it like if you've ever seen the show Peaky Blinders, mixed with superheroes in a way, but not legitimate superpowers, but more like a guy that would be a what's the word I'm looking for? A vigilante. So yeah, that's what I want to try mixing with, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know what Peaky Blinders is, think of it like the Mob.
Peaky Blinders.
I could also make
or watch Sons of Anarchy. That's very similar too.
That was a good show.
It's funny that you bring up this question, because a friend of mine and I actually had this discussion earlier today. We both started reminiscing about SWAT cats. Anybody who grew up in the 90s remembers SWAT cats. And
that
it was about So we started reminiscing about SWAT cats, and he started drawing a fan art and stuff like that. And we're sitting there talking about it, and we're like, I wonder whatever happened to SWAT cats, because it used to belong to Hanna-Barbera, and Hanna-Barbera died in 2001. So like, who owned the rights to it and stuff like that, and how cool a reboot would be. Well, we started looking into it, and there is a studio starting to do a reboot called SWAT Cats Revolution. And we started watching like the previews for it and stuff, and it almost feels like they're starting to go that same kid-friendly direction that like Teen Titans Go went, where they have like cel-shaded 3D animation. The characters look nothing like they used to. It's a whole different story, and it's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. And we just, all we could do while we were watching the preview is just kind of like, and to answer that question, go back to our roots. Go back to originally drawn, animation. Step back away from, the 3D animation that people have been doing, and stick to the original story. Don't change things. I mean, I understand that things need to change and evolve over time, but something like a classic, like, SWAT Cats, for all of us back in the 90s knew, try to retain a lot of like the originality of it. That way it not only captures the original 90s audience, but it'll also capture the new audience as well.
Yeah, there's also the thing, I think some people just mix, like, if they're gonna add lore to it, that is important too.
My thing is though, oh god, what happened here? Here, my thing is, they've already ruined Thundercats too, because they did the same exact thing to Thundercats. They made like the same animation style as Teen Titans Go. So my only real thing is they better never screw up, or never make another show like those. Oh, what the? In 1 second. They better never like touch Courage the Cowardly Dog or Ed, Ned, and Eddie. Because I will fight
Actually,
evil.
there was already talks about me doing Ed, and Eddie.
Don't tell me. I don't want to see it alone. Leave Ed, and Eddie, and leave Courage the Cowardly Dog alone.
They already put out concept animations for it. They're already working on that.
Don't like it.
And they've completely ruined it.
April Fool's joke.
No.
If they touch Courage, if they touch Courage the Cowardly Dog, I'm throwing hands, and I'm throwing cars, and I'm throwing people. I will destroy people. That is my childhood. That series had every single emotion running through it, and it was the best series to me growing up. I will fight people.
So, but let me ask you something, Howlez. The thing I mentioned to you about my book series, which I know this is not a movie, but I do want to write it in the future, and I feel like a lot of furries would agree that they want something a little bit more, since majority of furries are adults, they want some more adult themed kind of anthropomorphic movie or a TV show, because there's not a lot of them besides Beastars. Would you like to see an anthropomorphic TV show that's more adult themed?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because, continuing on this topic here of, TV shows becoming more child friendly is like, who remembers, Bugs Bunny and all those? Those were really kind of violent, television shows back in their day, but now they are quote unquote adult themed. And I mean, I would really love to see animation go back to its roots again. I feel like so much has been lost over the years. Yeah, exactly. So much has been lost over the years because, it's funny too, because it's our generation who grew up watching those shows, who loved those shows, that are now saying that they are too violent and too not child friendly.
The reason why South Park is still successful is because they still stick to their roots.
It's not that, because the creators don't give a crap about what they don't give a crap about what people think about their show. Like, the people who are against it, they always will make fun of them, and that's what keeps giving them the laughs. Is they will make fun of everyone in existence and not care what people say.
Well, to me, what makes South Park relevant in Comedy Central is the fact that there's always going to be a problem in this world, and guess what? Trey Parker is gonna make fun of it, and so I forgot the other one's name. The thing is that they make fun of anything that's going on in this world, and that's what keeps the show going. And they don't try to sugarcoat it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so my first season is season 8. The Warcraft episode is one of my favorite ones still.
Yeah, I have to very much agree with that, because the thing with me in South Park, I'm not a big fan of South Park. I remember watching like a season or two, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm not understanding the humor, so I'm just going to leave it alone. But I think... crap, the question was in my mind. What was the question again?
It wasn't really so much of a question. It was just more of a conversation about what makes the shows relevant. And you also have to think, like when people go watch South Park, they like dark humor. Or if I want to make my book series into this anthropomorphic thing, what are the furries going to look at, or what are other people that are who are not furries? What are they looking for? Especially because I feel like a lot of people in our generation still like animations and cartoons.
Very much so. And so far there's been several different cartoons that are for adults. Like there's been South Park, there's been The Simpsons, there's been Family Guy, American Dad, and so many different others. And yet it really still bothers me that people think that cartoons is just mainly for adults. And I would argue that if your main demographic for cartoons is only for kids, or maybe kids under the age of 13, then you're really missing out a lot of opportunities, because there are a lot of things that you could do in animation that you can't do with live action or with CGI or with motion capture. There's just so much that you could play with. And I may not have grown up that much in the 90s because I grew up mainly in the 2000s, but I remember distinctively enjoying a lot of the old classic Looney Tunes cartoons, the classic Tom and Jerry. I didn't really care about the violence or anything. I just find it funny. I found it entertaining. And then when I look at the cartoons like from the past 10 years, I'm like, do the animators and writers think their audience is just dumb? That adults are not going to want to watch cartoons with their kids on a Saturday morning? Like, is that literally what they're thinking about?
Most animations and cartoons are just not always kid friendly.
But then you take a look at Adventure Time and Regular Show and see where those two shined at, but the rest of them didn't.
Yeah. And I'm also not a huge fan of reboots of any kind, whether it's in a movie or whether it's in a TV series or something that's been around for a long time, like Scooby-Doo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Tom and Jerry, the Looney Tunes, or even the Peanuts
cartoons. By the way,
cartoons.
I can hear the sirens in the background.
Yeah, I can't really do anything about it. That's living in downtown Vancouver near probably one of the more dangerous streets of the entire city. So that's what I have to look forward to. But
fair enough.
But
you're not wrong though about the reboots.
Yeah, and so far, I feel like reboots has gone to the point where it's just ruining creativity, not only for actors, but also for editors, writers, and even animators. Heck, when the animated series Velma came out, everyone was pissed. But at least I can say this. After people were thinking that Velma was going to be good, but it wasn't, I could easily be like, so, do you miss Scrappy-Doo now? Because we could bring him back.
Oh god, not Scrappy-Doo. But still,
I love
it's like
Scrappy-Doo. It's
kind of funny because even though collectively, I'm pretty sure most of us do not like Teen Titans Go.
No.
Somehow, I just saw something today on Twitter. Apparently, it's been on the air for 10 years. And it's taken over, it was Cartoon Network on Twitter. Apparently, they're going to be playing every single episode that's came out over the next few days. Because of it.
Give us back some Titans, the original.
What I don't like though is that here's an imperfect example that why I feel like a lot of productions and directors should not be messing with like books to think to way that they think it would sound better. Kind of like when they didn't let George R.R. Martin finish his last book of Game of Thrones. And they had to come up with their own things for their last season, and that's what messed it up. Because he wasn't even done with this book.
True, that's why everyone hates the last season.
Yeah. I would also argue that another element to that is the formatting for writing a book is completely different than writing in a way that fits in a movie. The one thing that immediately comes to mind for that is like the animated film Coraline, because I remember reading the book and watching the film, and there are like distinct similarities and distinct differences, but that's because what worked in the book is why it's in the book, and it may not have translated well to the actual film.
The movie. Now, here's the thing. I don't want my book or my book series to be a movie. I want it to be a TV show because people like detailed worlds. They have to understand the lore around them, and they have time to, develop their knowledge and their understanding of the world that I created. That's why I like TV shows better.
Touché. Didn't they say that they were going to make a TV show of Harry Potter?
I'm tired of hearing your Harry Potter, I'm not even gonna lie. Tired of hearing. I'm just tired of it. It's like it's gone through its movies. I don't care about the person who created it anymore. I mean, she's trying to stay relevant in a world that doesn't really care about her anymore because of her ways and what she thinks about trans people. So that's a whole nother thing, though.
Everyone's entitled
to their opinion. I'm just gonna bite
opinion.
my tongue on that whole thing.
I know.
There's some very colorful things I could say, and I'm not going to. So go ahead.
I know, Sakura. Well, I guess that has to conclude today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. We'll see you guys next week on Top Dice. Until then, stay safe. You guys are awesome. Thanks for the support, and good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Night.
And that's a wrap. Cut.
I will say though, she is making it hard to distinct herself from the art versus the artist because she keeps saying some stupid dumb. That's why I hate her.
I don't keep up with the drama.
Why am I so short?
Sakura,
bitching.
When you said SWAT cats,
remember when PBS Kids used to be good, but now it's not good anymore?
when you brought up
Oh my god,
that's bad.
Yeah, Dragon Tale, Cyberspace.
Oh my god, Coltyn, would you
That's what
being funny?
Anymore. Nickelodeon used to be good.
I'm just saying hi.
Yeah, no,
I'm just saying hi.
Because I was literally talking about that earlier today.
I'm gonna look at that Eddie because they better not be screwing that up. They better not screw that Eddie. I will fight too.
SWAT cats used to be so
No, they
cool.
won't.
I remember seeing the SWAT cats revolution thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that it was
I'm
going
gonna
to be
go ahead.
War.
chibi style.
And it got canceled because somebody
Well, it's not going to be like a chibi style, but they're doing a full 3D rendering.
I'm hoping that we could talk about this topic some more.
And they changed how the characters look and how they dress, and it is disgusting.